Around a year ago, I took 2 top cuttings of my partner's giant monstera. It's rooted and it continues to put out massive new growth. If you want a giant monstera, you need to follow the exact same steps of growing it to its maximum size, taking a top cutting and rooting it in new soil. But what you don't know is that this plant almost died in that process. The most frequent question and biggest criticism that I get on this channel is, why do I keep using such small pot sizes? Well, I've tried to explain that I use small pots because when the pot is smaller, the roots can absorb the water from all the extra soil much quicker. When it comes to monstera, if your roots are drying out pretty quickly, generally your roots are going to be much more healthy. But if you're using a much bigger pot, there's a lot more soil, the roots are staying wetter for longer, and that opens up the plant to getting root rot causing bacteria. If you're just rooting your plant for the first time, it's almost never worth it to go up to a larger pot size. The only downsides would be that you have to repot your plant more frequently and you have to water your plant more frequently. So this is why this plant almost died. Number one, I picked a plastic pot that was just a little bit too big. I guess all the peer pressure and questions finally got to me. I was also not really monitoring the soil that carefully. Normally I use a wooden stick to test to see if my soil is dry, but I was mostly eyeballing it and using the finger test, so I could have been doing that a lot more carefully. The soil just started to get too wet for too long, and I noticed it too late. Also, the timing was off. I think when I cut that plant for the video, it was either January or February, so with lower temperatures and less humidity, it just wasn't a great time to do that kind of work. Plus, it had to go in the basement. This furnace room is effectively plant jail. Plants spend October to May throughout Canadian winter in this windowless room. I use 3 different types of grow light brands in here, and because I need a lot of them, my only requirements is that they are bright and cheap. I have bulbs attached to boom arms that clip to shelves. I have bar lights that go under shelves, and I also have this overhanging light. And before you think, wow, I should get all these grow lights for my home, just know that I cannot be in this room for more than 10 minutes without getting severe eye strain. Unless I'm wearing these that came with the grow lights because they know how bad it is. Do I look cool? Please say yes. Even with all these lights, the monstera still needed to sit up against the wall. It was kind of in this spot right here and mostly getting around 500 to 400 foot candles of light. Even with all that light, because of the size of the pots, the roots were not able to absorb all of that water fast enough. Rot-causing bacteria started to form, lower leaves started to fall off, and I needed to take the plant out of the pot to operate. It started raining. Now usually during spring and summer, we keep our plants inside a sunroom. It's basically a glass enclosure that has sliding doors that can open and close to let in more air. And usually the monstera just sits in the corner right there, soaking up a ton of light, but because it was February, it's got to go in the dungeon. And while I don't have any footage of what the roots look like at that time, you can kind of see the evidence of where I had to cut off and remove pieces of the plant. I pretty much immediately switched for a slightly smaller size pot, and I also went with terracotta to help it dry out a little bit faster. And I also started treating the plant with a copper fungicide, which always helps with root rot. Really, you're kind of always trying to maintain good root health with monsteras, and I think a lot of people do forget that light is the main factor that keeps your roots healthy. A lot of people also get caught up in, does my plant need a moss pole? Does it need a wooden stake? Should I be fertilizing my plant? How often do I need to water it? But if you don't have your lighting down, pretty much none of this matters. That spot in the sunroom gets like 3,000 to 5,000 foot candles when the light is shining directly on the plant, and otherwise it's getting around 800 or 900 for the rest of the day. And I think the other thing that people don't realize is when you have a major health setback like root rot, your plant takes so long to recover, and it could be months, even up to 10 months, sometimes even a year before it starts producing new leaves, especially on larger plants when it takes a pretty long time to grow new stuff anyways. I'm really hoping the roots will come out because I don't want to smash another terracotta pot. See, it's just a little root bound. This terracotta pot to this plastic pot upgrade feels kind of huge, but really it's the only thing that's suitable right now. I strongly recommend getting a light meter, either a device or an app, to help get readings of what things are like actually in your home. Learning how to take a number light reading is the fastest way to get from a beginner to an intermediate when it comes to taking care of indoor plants. When you join our Discord community and you post in our help forums, knowing what your light levels are really helps us figure out what's exactly wrong with your plants. So if you don't already have a light meter, check out this video to learn more.